Oh dear. All this new equipment I've had to buy for the show. It's costing me an arm and a leg. Hey, why do we say that? That and more coming up in episode 1 of the Useful Idioms Show.
The Useful Idioms Show.
Hello, and thank you for joining me for the very first episode of the Useful Idioms Show. Now, those of you who have subscribed to this channel, thank you to every one of you. I hope to grow the channel as much as I can, and part of the effort to do this is launching this show, the Useful Idioms Show, which I hope to do once or twice a week. We'll see how it goes. What we're going to do with this 10-15 minutes or so is just to talk about idioms, of course, English language idioms. Now, first up, my reasons for talking about idioms and doing all these little videos like I've been producing for the last couple of years. I'm just interested in language. I'm interested in idioms. I believe they're so important to understanding of the language, to basic understanding, because we use so many idioms a lot through our normal speech, native speakers and non-native speakers. Now, for many non-native speakers, it can be difficult because if you don't really understand the language very well or understand these idioms, it's like sometimes we're talking in riddles. We're not, but it's important to learn as many of these as possible and to try to understand them. And eventually, as a non-native speaker, to put those into regular speech and to bring those in as much as you can. So that's one thing. The second thing about this show and what I've been doing is just really for a bit of fun, very much history, to look into the history of certain idioms, their origins. Some of them are really fascinating. Some of them are obvious really in many ways when you start thinking about them, but many are not. So we're going to focus on some of those, look deeper into their history. This show is going to evolve. So I'm just going to start off with some basic stuff. A lot of it similar to what I've been doing the last couple of years, but with me here in the studio. So I hope you enjoy it. If you're not subscribed, please do. It really does help. I hope to grow the channel. And the best way to do that is through subscriptions. But really just share, just tell somebody about it. That's also a great way. But I'll tell you how the show is going to go. There's going to be 4 sections to it. The first section is going to be a little bit about the history of certain idioms, and that's going to be called Well I Never. That's coming up in a while. The second part of the show, we're going to be looking at choosing 5 idioms and just talking about their uses, similar to how I do with the shorter version of the show. The third one is a feedback one. People have been leaving questions in comments, and so I look to answer a few of those and give my opinion about certain idioms. And finally, something not actually related to idioms right at the end, wonderful words. So I'm going to give you a wonderful word of the week. It might be something unusual. It might be something we don't use very often, but it won't be boring. Okay, so a wonderful word that perhaps we can just drop into conversation now and again. We'll see how that goes. As I said, the podcast will evolve into different things that work, things that don't work. Let's just see how it goes. Okay, on with our first part. It's called Well I Never.
Well, I never.
Blimey.
Well, turn me into marmalade and spread me on toast.
And just to say, if you hear a dog occasionally barking or making a noise in the background, that's my dog Bobby. He might be a little bit worried because I think there's a storm on the way. I can hear the rumbling of clouds in the distance. Maybe you can as well, but he's getting a little bit perturbed. So if he starts barking again, that's what it is. Anyway, Well I Never's our first section. Well I Never, why did I decide to call it Well I Never? Because that is something which someone might say if they hear something unusual, or if they hear a bit of news which is very interesting or perhaps unexpected. So, for example, Jane. Do you know that Jane is getting married? Well, I never. It's a big surprise. You didn't expect that. So that's how you would use it. That's by the by. So I've decided to name this section, the section where we list some idioms and look into their history. Well, I never. Perhaps I'll rename it in the future, but let's see. Okay, let's go to our first idiom. The first feature, like we're doing today, is well, I never. We're going to delve in, like I said, to the fascinating origin of some curious idioms. Now, today's featured idioms, we're going to have two of them. Let the cat out of the bag, which was one I featured quite recently with the short videos in the channel, and also bite the bullet. Bite the bullet. To the first one, let the cat out of the bag. Now, this one has a really, really fascinating history. Where does it come from? Okay, well, first of all, what does it mean? So if you let something out of the bag, it means that you reveal a secret, often unintentionally, accidentally. The story of this one goes back to the 18th century. In England and to marketplaces in England. Farmers, people selling their goods in the marketplaces, would put pigs into sacks as a commodity to sell them. But some unscrupulous or dishonest sellers would actually fill their sacks not with pigs, but with cats. Okay, much cheaper beast than a pig, which is much more valuable to a farmer. Now, if the bags were opened before the sale was actually made, then the cat could jump out and the fraud would be exposed. So the cat was let out of the bag. And it's become synonymous with revealing something that was meant to stay a secret. Okay, that's the kind of thing we will reveal on this channel. Okay, so very interesting there. But I'm going to give you as well a couple of the sample uses for this. So, I accidentally let the cat out of the bag about Sarah's surprise birthday party when I asked her what cake she wanted. Okay, that would be one thing. And another one, the press conference was supposed to be a secret, but someone let the cat out of the bag, and now the reporters are everywhere. Okay, understood. Let the cat out of the bag. That's the first one we've done on the first show. All right, another one which I have featured already in the little versions, the little videos I do. If you're not subscribed, please do. Bite the bullet. Bite the bullet. Now, what does it mean, bite the bullet? Well, it basically means to endure something extremely difficult or unpleasant, and to endure it, to suffer it with courage and determination. But where does it come from? Well, this one's really not a happy one. It's a little grisly. In the days before modern anesthetics, on the battlefields of many parts of the world, if a soldier was injured and had to have an operation, he would bite down on something. Sometimes it would be a stick of wood, but sometimes it was also a bullet. There are reports of this, of soldiers biting down onto bullets so they don't bite off their tongue, or to help them endure the pain. To bite the bullet, okay? To endure something very unpleasant. All right? So let's give you a few examples. When my car broke down halfway through my road trip, I had to bite the bullet and pay for an expensive tow truck. So in that situation, the driver bit the bullet because there was no choice. He had to do this. It was difficult. It was painful financially. So he bit the bullet. Another one, if you want to improve your fitness, you need to bite the bullet and wake up early to exercise. Again, nothing you can do about it. This is what you have to do. It's not nice. It's not pleasant, but you have to get up early and exercise. All right. Okay. 2 idioms there, 2 fascinating histories of those idioms. And it just shows you how colorful language can be. So let me know in the comments if you have an idiom, the origin of which you'd like me to look into.
It's the idioms of the week. So for £1, you can't beat them.
Oh, I say.
Okay, now our idioms of the week. Similar to the show, we're going to focus on 5 each week here. Perhaps these will sometimes come from the ones that I have put out in the little videos during the week. We'll see how that goes. Depends on the feedback I get from subscribers and people in comments as well. So let's see. But it's time to put these idioms to work. We've got 5 idioms. And this week, the idioms are fed up with, red flag, take the edge off, ship up or shape out. That one's been done recently on these shorter videos. And until the cows come home. Let's dive in. So, fed up with, very common idiom. Okay. It means, of course, to be annoyed or frustrated or tired with something, and you're finding it very difficult to tolerate it. Okay. So let's give some examples. I'm so fed up with waiting for my package. It's been 2 weeks already. Okay. Or second example, after months of noisy construction outside her office, she was completely fed up with the daily disruptions. Okay, clear? I think fed up's quite a common one, so probably many non-native speakers know how to use that one. Okay, but hopefully, these will come more into your general conversation. Not just understanding, but also starting to use them more will make you sound more natural as a speaker of English. The second one now, red flag. A red flag around the world is a warning sign, of course, a red flag. Very common, we would see a red flag on dangerous beaches or during high tide or bad weather. They put up a red flag to warn people not to swim. They might put up a red flag if there are sharks in the sea at that time. So, it's a warning. Clear. Let me give you some examples. During the job interview, the candidate's refusal to answer basic questions was a red flag for the hiring team. Let's do that one again. During the job interview, the candidate's refusal to answer basic questions was a red flag for the hiring team. Okay, this first episode, I won't be setting a test or a quiz, but that's the sort of thing I would set a quiz for, because what it means, just to tell you directly, is that the red flag here is the fact that this candidate, something's not right about him or her. They're refusing or not able to answer basic questions. So immediately, this is a warning to the hiring team. Don't hire this person. Red flag goes up. Okay? All right, another example. When the car started making strange noises, it was a red flag that something was seriously wrong with the engine. Okay, I think we've established now red flag and how to use it. Again, a warning. Literally, there would be a light, probably, somewhere on the dashboard of the car about this. But when the car started making strange noises, it was a red flag. So the noise was a red flag. Okay, that something was seriously wrong with the engine. The noise was a warning. Okay, got it. Okay, number 3, to take the edge off something. Okay, this means to reduce the intensity of something unpleasant. It can mean, such as stress or pain. It can be used in a positive way, though, as well. It's not always something unpleasant. So, for example, if you have an appetite, if you want to eat. So my mum, she used to say, I remember, don't snack between meals because it will take the edge off your appetite. Now, we're not going to histories too much now. It takes too much time. But I imagine that the history comes from something to do with knives or swords, the sharpness of knives or swords. But let me give you a couple of uses how we would say this and use this in general conversation. So the first one, a glass of wine after a long day can really take the edge off. Okay, that's about reducing stress. Okay, take the edge off your stress or something. Some people like a glass of wine or a glass of beer, possibly. Okay, also the painkillers took the edge off my headache, but I still needed to rest. Again, This time it is reducing the intensity of a difficult or an uncomfortable situation or sensation. But like I said, don't forget that first example I gave you, to take the edge off your appetite. That's a bad thing. You like to be ready for your meal and be looking forward to it. At least my mother used to say it was a bad thing anyway. Okay, idiom 4, shape up or ship out. Now, this means to improve your behavior or performance, or face removal or consequences. So let me give you an example. The coach told the players to shape up or ship out after the terrible performance in the last game. Okay, so he's saying you improve your performance here or you go. All right? A new manager might come into a football team. Shape up or ship out. All right? Next transfer window, we're getting rid of you. Possibly. Okay? If the company doesn't shape up and fix its customer service, they'll lose all their clients. If the company doesn't shape up and fix its customer service, they'll lose all their clients. All right. So, okay, couple of uses there. Hopefully, you'll get to learn all those new idioms. Oh, we have a fifth one I've forgotten about. First show. Please let me off. Until the cows come home. Until the cows come home. Lovely idiom. We can guess its origin, but we're not going to go too much into that today. But this is how we would use it. For a very long time, it means, or indefinitely. So that's literally just what it means. It just means for a very long time, or possibly indefinitely. So how would we use it? You can argue with her until the cows come home, but she'll never change her mind. Okay? So it's pointless. She will never change her mind. You can argue with her forever until the cows come home. He could talk about, also second example, he could talk about his favorite football team until the cows come home. Yes, so could I, but I won't tell you which it is yet. Okay, 5 idioms there, finally now, 5 idioms, and hopefully you can, go back, listen to those, and decide which you're going to use this week.
And now it's over to you. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Come on, chop chop.
All right, time now for what may become my favorite part of the show, which is the listener Q&A, question and answer. So please do write in with your questions. I've picked a couple of questions to start us with this week on the first show. This first one comes from Linda in Beijing, in China. So thank you, Linda. And your question is, what does break the ice mean? And where does it come from? Okay, you want me a bit of history too, but what does break the ice mean and where does it come from? Okay, it's a great question. So break the ice means literally to start a conversation or an activity to make people feel more comfortable. That's how we use it. Okay, so if you go to a party, a group of people might be together who don't really know each other very well, and the host of the party wants to break the ice, maybe with some kind of activity or conversation or something to get the party started. All right. Now, the origins are nautical. That means it comes from ships, from the Navy, ships that couldn't pass through frozen waters. So if you can imagine, an atmosphere is frozen. The waters were frozen. Icebreakers were used, which are large ships which are used to smash holes in through the ice. They were used to force a path or forge a path through the sea. So we now use this, of course, metaphorically to describe overcoming initial awkwardness in social situations. So a couple of example uses. At the party, we played a fun game to break the ice and get everyone talking. Okay, like I said before. And the second example, his joke about the weather really broke the ice during the tense meeting. Okay, so maybe it's a business meeting. You know, people don't really know each other very well. And somebody at the table comes up with a funny joke or a quirk. People start laughing. It breaks the ice, breaks the atmosphere. the cold atmosphere. Everybody feels better, and then they can start the meeting proper. Okay, thank you very much for that, Linda. And more questions, I hope, from China. That would be great. And the second question comes now from the Czech Republic. David, must be David, I think, in Prague. And the question is, what does cost an arm and a leg mean? To cost an arm and a leg. What does it mean? Where does it come from? Great, great question. And a very surprising answer. Firstly, an arm and a leg. To cost an arm and a leg, it means that something is extremely expensive. Okay, so I would say, oh, that car I bought cost me an arm and a leg. All right, it's very expensive. Now, the phrase has a very surprising history. I was quite amused to find out about. The phrase is believed to trace back to the 18th century, when portraits were commissioned, much more than they are today, of course, because now we have photographs. A full body portrait, which included arms and legs, was much more expensive than a head and shoulders portrait. Hence, the saying evolved to mean something costly. Isn't that amazing? Okay. So, for example, the concert tickets cost an arm and a leg, but it was worth it to see my favorite band. The concert tickets cost an arm and a leg, but it was worth it to see my favorite band. Sounds like Oasis. The designer handbag costs an arm and a leg. I'll stick to the high street version. So the designer handbag costs an arm and a leg. I'll stick to the high street version. Just get one in Marks and Spencer's or something. Think about that. It comes from portrait paintings in the 18th century, where to paint your arms and your legs cost more. Isn't that amazing? Okay, please do write in with more questions, because it's clear that this is going to be a fascinating source of content for the show.
Wonderful word of the week.
If sometimes a bit silly.
Okay, finally, we're going to wrap with what I promised earlier. Wonderful word of the week. It might extend to wonderful words, possibly, but I'm just going to give you one for today. These are words that I believe have been underused, are beautiful, fascinating. There's several different reasons why I would bring them to your attention. So, the first word of the first show, the first word of the week, beautiful word of the week, wonderful word of the week, is petrichor. Petrichor. Okay. Petrichor is spelled P-E-T-R-I-C-H-O-R. Now, here's the definition. Petrichor refers to the earthy smell that rises after rain falls on dry soil. Yes, there's a word for that. Okay, it comes from the Greek word petra, so it doesn't come from English originally. It's from petra for stone, and ichor, which is the fluid that flows in the veins of the gods, according to Greek mythology. Petrichor. Okay, so there's a word. So when you go into the forest next time, remember this word, whoever you're with. Try it out. Okay, let's give you a couple of examples. The petrichor after the summer rainstorm reminded me of my childhood in the countryside. Indeed. And, or for example, she loved the smell of petrichor. It always made her feel calm and connected to nature. Now, I'm not expecting you all to rush out and start using the word petrichor, but isn't it amazing that we have a word for such a thing? It's fascinating. Language is constantly fascinating. A gem of a word, petrichor. So please give some suggestions as well for wonderful words of the week. I will feature them and yourself on the show. Okay, that's it for the very first episode of the Useful Idioms Show. Please subscribe and write in, share, and I will be back with the regular idioms, of course, 5 days a week and just one at the weekend. All right, so please tune in to another show, the second show, the Useful Idioms Show, sometime over the next week. From myself, Peter, until next time, it's been great. Thank you. Remember, idioms are beautiful. Language is wonderful. See you next time.